We can all read together, please. Book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 46. I am starting. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart. Now, this is the stage wherein we are very far away with one another and coming together in this room to worship the Lord. So nothing wrong having a table in our own house, as per the scriptures of Book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 46. In this, so therefore, my humble advice is just prepare a small bread and also some drink like grape juice or some milk or some biscuits, something like that, and get ready for the table. You are the fag end of the meeting. Now, coming to the confession message, the brief introduction to the confession message is, what do you mean by confession message? It's not confessing to sin. Now, after knowing the Lord, there are some number of occasions wherein we miss the track and miss the purpose of God and forget God and keep God aside for some time and accomplish our own will and land up its work and cry to the Lord. Such a type of circumstances, if any, are existing in the past period in our course of life. Better we remember, come back and examine ourselves wherein we failed the Lord in following Him. I would like to, God has burdened me to speak about two big prophets who are well known to the public, but at the time, in a situation, they missed the track what God has appointed for them. The first one is Book of Jonah, chapter 1. Book of Jonah, chapter 1. Here we see the Lord is asking him, rather commanding him to go to Nineveh to preach the gospel. Somehow, Jonah is not well pleased with God's command to go to Nineveh and give the gospel. But Lord is very particular with regard to the command, and He doesn't want to deviate from His stand. So God says to Noah in book of Jonah, chapter 1 and verse 2, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me. Arise, go to Nineveh. Arise, go to Nineveh. That is the God's command. Jonah is a prophet, but yet maybe his mindset did not permit him to go to Nineveh because he doesn't like the people over there or the things over there and the circumstances that are arising in the land of Nineveh. However, he went to the Joppa and then took a ticket and then landed up into the boat. Was three place. But Jonah rose up, flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare thereof and went down to it to go with them unto the Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Disobeying the God is nothing but leaving the presence of God. Number of occasions in our life We leave the presence of God. Horrible. What do I mean by that? We don't want God's presence. We want to accomplish our own will. That itself is sin in the sight of the Lord. Now, Jonah, when he came to such type of conclusion, the devil also very cunningly provided all the amenities for him to move to Tarshish. Sometimes we take it granted that all these circumstances are going along with us in a positive manner. We feel that as if it is in God's grace and God's provision. No, God's command is final. God's command doesn't change. God's command will be the purpose. Therefore, when he went to the Japan, there he saw a ship. Good vacancy is there. Good berth is provided. So he paid the ticket for it and landed up in the ship. And the ship moved towards Tarshish. God did not allow the ship, rather allow Jonah, though the ship is there, allow Jonah to reach the Tarshish. In one word, we can say, by the time Jonah opened his eyes, he was in the Nineveh, not in Tarshish. God has to send a great wind to tilt the ship, to teach a lesson to Jonah, to come back into the track which God has commanded. Let us remember, when we are leaving the presence of God and going, God will not leave us. You may go to certain extent, certain distance, and a certain number of days you can go on accomplishing your own will. But that doesn't leave serve the purpose. What happened? Verse 7. And said everyone to his fellow, come and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the Lord fell upon Jonah. For whose cause this evil is upon us. When you leave the presence of God, evil will be waiting for you. Remember that. Because not only for you, it will give the effect of the surroundings around you who are living with you. John's Gospel, chapter 21, there we see Peter going for fishing according to his own plan. Along with him, 7 followed. When the 7 followed, the Peter announced while going for fishing, I am going for fishing. He is not supposed to announce it. So when he announced already, all other disciples followed him, thinking that he is the senior most. But they caught nothing. Coming to Jonah here, when he left the presence of God and going to Tarshish, all the passengers traveling in the ship has to face the difficulty. Remember, our disobedience sometimes will have effect on children, on wife, on our family members, or on our colleagues in the office, or other friends, circle, or other fellow believers who are closely with us, taking the advice from us. Therefore, we must be very careful when we are walking with the Lord that our association with the Lord will not fail at any cost. It gives the benefit for not only for you and your family, but also all the fellow believers who are surrounded around you. Evil fell on them. Lords were lifted up, and the Lord came to Jonah. When Lord came to Jonah, Jonah told very clearly, you take me up and put me in the ship, admit the guilt. The ship captain coming and addressing Jonah as, "O thou sleeper, wake up, see what is happening." When you are leaving the presence of God, your respect, your honor, your dignity, everything will go. A prophet is being addressed as a sleeper. No respect, no honor. Why? Disobedience to God. Our disobedience will make us to lose our respect and honor. Whenever the problem comes, we must discern ourselves and go into the presence of the Lord and ask the Lord, Lord, did I commit any mistake anywhere? Jonah has to do that. One thing, good thing was, Jonah realized he is on the wrong side. He is going in the wrong direction. He is going away from the presence of God. Sometimes knowing fully well, we also will do the same thing. In the past year, if such type of incidents happened in our life, let's come back to God. Like Jonah coming over here and addressing him and praying to the Lord to rescue from the situation wherein he is passing through. Now, book of Jonah, chapter 1. Here, the people are asking Jonah, what we must do to you? Verse 11. Then said they unto him, what shall we do unto thee that the sea may be calm unto us? What shall we do unto thee? People sometimes will ask, for the wrong what you have done, what shall we do? A merit student appeared for the IAS interview. So I'm sorry, Bank Probation Officers interview. During the conversation, he was asked to submit all the original certificates. Immediately the answer was, sir, I lost them. Then the interview officer told, see, your own certificates, which you labored and got meritorious certificates, which will turn in your life into a prosperous life. You are so careless. How can you lose it? The second question is, when you are not so careful about your own property, when you become a bank manager, how can we trust and put all crores of rupees into your hand to handle things? Good. It is a good point. Immediately the boy answered, yes, sir, you are correct. He admit such type of boys should not be given this type of responsibility of bank managers. He was not selected. He came with a great disappointment. Thank God. Maybe he is having faith in God. He spoke the truth and he spoke the reaction of the wrongdoing, what has to be taken. At the same time, second time he reappeared for the IAS and exams, civil services, selected for the IPS and went for the interview. By that time, he received all the original certificates through police station. He gave some years back the complaint. They found, they called him, they gave the certificates, and he went. And he was selected. He was narrating his story, right? Because the one of the reasons is because I admitted my guilt, I lost it. Second thing, I also openly told I am not worthy at this point to the post of the bank manager because of the act, because of the carelessness. From that time, he was very careful. Now, coming to Jonah here, Jonah is telling, put me into the sea. Whenever you go wrong, admit your guilt. Ask the Lord to punish you so that you may not forget in your life any time about the punishment and not to repeat the same mistake once again. Jonah was put into the sea. Immediately the sea was calm. What happened? See there, verse 12. And he said unto them, take me up and cast me forth into the sea, so shall the sea be calm unto you. For I know that for my sake this great tempest is upon you. So they beat him, they put him into the sea. Then, verse 15, Jonah chapter 1, verse 15. So they took up Jonah and cast him forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging. Immediate response, result. When you admit your guilt and receive the punishment willingly, reward will be there. What is the reward? She became calm. All the problems will come to an end. At the same time, other people will realize the greatness of God. Verse 16. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice unto the Lord and made vows. Fear of the Lord entered into the hearts of the people. When prophets commits a mistake and going in his own way against God's plan, prophet has to admit, prophet has to receive the punishment, and the prophet will enjoy the reward of the punishment. At the same time, the Gentiles who are around him will have the fear of the Lord and they will make oaths to the Lord. They will realize who is the great God, who is the real God. So, when prophet confessed his mistake, prophet confessed his wrong way of doing things, we have to follow the footsteps in this particular matter for whatever the wrong we have done, to admit the guilt before the Lord and receive the punishment. Gracious Lord, if he, without receiving, without punishing us, excuses and then gives grace to follow it, still more well and good. But remember, the same mistake we should not do. In chapter 2, one sentence I am going to read, Book of Jonah, chapter 2, verse 7. When my soul fainted within me, I remembered the Lord. I remembered the Lord. While purchasing the ticket to Tarshish, he did not remember the God's command. While getting into the boat, he did not remember God's command. At all those occasions, he fulfilled his own way. When the trouble came, when he is in the fish belly, when all the sea compassed around him, now he says, I remembered the Lord. When he remembered, my soul fainted within me. Your situation on this spot may be of the same. Fainted in so many aspects because of the deeds you have done, because of the work you have done, because of the walk you walked without God. Admit, come back. Jonah did the same thing. He made a promise to the Lord. What is that promise? Let us read. Book of Jonah, chapter 2, verse 9. But I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is the Lord. I will pay that I have vowed. Now, before entering into the new year, you pay a vow to the Lord. Oh Lord, I will not repeat this type of mistake once again. That is called confession prayer. God expects all of us to have such type of prayer, prayer of confession for the wrongdoings, for missing the track, for going in our own way and bringing loss to the family and to the people around us. Admit, receive the punishment, and resign to the course of the Lord, and then serve the Lord with more fear and trembling. We see in chapter 3, verse 1, second time God appeared to Jonah. Chapter 3, verse 1. The word of the Lord came unto Jonah the second time, saying, God is gracious. First time you did not listen, God will give you the second chance. Use the second chance, come back to God. One more incident I would like to say. He is also a prophet. He also went his own way. He could not do anything. He was damn tired. He lost all his energy. And simply he lay down under the tree, juniper tree. Who is that? He is a very great man of God, more courageous, and he is ferocious. His zeal for the Lord. Such man, at one point of time, feared for a lady, Jezebel, and flew from the place. First Kings, chapter 19. First Kings, chapter 19. Here we see Prophet Elijah. He's a great man. And he's arguing with the Lord. I am the only one prophet standing for the sake of you, O my Lord. And going on fighting with the priest of this Baal prophet, Baal idol, goddess. God says, no, 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 don't think you take that prophet Elijah. There are so many people who are serving. Now, after hearing the bad news that the Jezebel sent to Prophet Elijah that he is going to be killed the next day itself, then he started going, leaving the place of the Lord or going outside the will of God. Believers, preachers, leaders, Sunday school teachers, youth counselors, whatever the title you want to put in, there are occasions wherein they were misguided and missed the track which the Lord had set before them and landed up in trouble. But they did not give up. They cried unto the Lord. When they realized what they have done is a mistake, and they came back to the presence of the Lord, onto the track of the Lord. Now, First Kings chapter 19. Here we will see what is going to happen. Verse 4. But he himself went a day's journey to the wilderness and came and sat down under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Lord, take away my life. I am not better than my fathers. That is his prayer. Verse 3, please. When he saw that, he arose and went for his life and came to Beersheba, which belonged to Judah, and left his servant there. Left his servant there. He came with servant and left the servant there. He went alone. For a day's journey, he went alone. Suppose anybody goes, the assistants or the soldiers or the army of Jezebel goes and asks the servant, where is your master, prophet Elijah? Then what he will say? Sir, I don't know. He left me here and he went away. Where he went away, I do not know. Prophet Elijah thought that I can be safe. by leaving my servant here and going without telling anybody in my own way. A prominent biblical philosopher says like this. Here, Prophet Elijah escaped, not escaped. He disappeared from the scene of God, absconded. Elijah, Prophet Elijah, absconded from the will of God. Nobody knows where he is. So many times, such situations might have come in the past year in our life. During the young days, when the young boys could not get proper job of their choice and wasting the time without getting a job, mixed up with the life, they will also do the same thing of ending up their life on their own, in their own heart, which is absolutely wrong according to God's word. Now, when he sat under the juniper tree and because of tiredness, he slept. Angel came twice and fed him. And then what did the angel say? Arise and get up. Arise and get up. Even for Jonah also, arise, pray to your God. Here, the angel of the Lord saying, arise, go on to the work of the Lord. 1 Kings chapter 19. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 7. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. Arise and eat. The journey is too great for thee. God doesn't like his people leaving the way of God. Arise, eat, and walk according to the God's way. At this point of time, our intention should be arise from the situation where you have fallen in the past year and admit your guilt. Confess to the Lord and come back to the fold of God and enjoy the presence of God. Receive the blessings from the heavenly God. What the prophet Elijah is saying here. He arose and went a day's journey, and again going to the Mount Horeb, there also he went into the cave and hid himself. But God says, come out of the cave. Stand upon the mount, not hiding. That shows be on your foot to start the work of God. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 11. And he said, go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. Stand upon the mount before the Lord. You must stand before the Lord. What for? To receive any command from God. That is God's purpose. When God says like that, then he has to receive the command. What did God say? See here. A great and strong wind rent the mountains and break in pieces the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind earthquake, the Lord was not in the earthquake. Then fire, no, nothing happened. And then after a fire, still small voice. 3 incidents are over. First one, what is the first one? A wind came. What is the second one? Earthquake came. What is the third one? Fire came. Nothing happened. Then the still small voice came from the Lord. What did he say? What doest thou here, Eleazar? Question. Now God is putting the same question for us. What are you doing here? Where are you doing? Where are you living? Where are you staying? That means you are staying in a place where you are not supposed to stay. You are hiding in a place where you are not supposed to hide. And you are traveling in a direction which direction you should not go. Therefore, God is questioning. Answer to the God. And the conscious, the Holy Spirit convicts you that you are going in the wrong direction. Admit, confess before the Lord, and come back. With a woe, Lord, hereafter I will not do the same mysterious guy. Then you receive the blessing. Now Elijah heard the voice of the Lord, came out of the cave, and heard the voice of the Lord, and followed the footsteps of the Lord. Finally, we can say, Prophet Elijah, without seeing the death, he was caught up into the media, ascended up to heaven. God's purpose is that. So God is having very great purpose in our lives. In one single day, when Jonah preached in the city of Nineveh, whole Nineveh came into conviction. Historical conviction took place. In the prophet of Elijah's case, what happened? God spoke to him. Historical reward he received when he obeyed, that is, ascending up to heaven as he is. So these are the blessings we can expect when we come back to the fold of the Lord and confess ourselves. So therefore, now we are going to give time for each and every individual to pray wholeheartedly wherever we have committed a mistake. 2 minutes we will observe silence and get back to our life in the past year and examine whichever incident Lord shows you that it is against the purpose of God. Admit, confess, cleanse yourselves in the precious blood of the Lord, and come into the fold of God to work according to the God's purposes. May the Lord help us to do so.